Welcome to the Business Greater Than You podcast, where we dive deep into the stories of men and women who have successfully transcended the frazzled solopreneur life and built productive teams with better lifestyle and income.
I'm Nelson Barss, the founder and owner of Utah Independent Mortgage Corp.
And I'm Liz Sears, founder and co-owner of My Utah Agents.
We're excited for you to listen, interact, and grow with us. So please share your comments below and let's get started.
All right, I am super excited for this week's podcast. We have here Crispin Sanford, and he runs a company. In fact, I'm going to sit forward a little bit on this one. So he runs a company that's called Proactive Business Management, and what this business does is what he does with his business is he helps other businesses set up to scale up.
That's correct.
And so how to basically make sure that the management's in place, the personnel development's in place, that the leadership skills and the structure and everything is where it needs to be. So that way, I love how you said, like when a business manager or owner goes out of town for a week or 2 weeks or a month, that actually everybody loves it because then they're not like nitpicking because they've built it to run on its own.
Right, and the machine is running, the business is running, everyone knows what they're doing, and it's plain sailing, and they're like, feel a little bit relaxed and able to just get on with the work. But you should be my director of communications here.
That was a good intro, right?
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. Thank you.
And that's really the goal of our podcast. We want to help people get to that point with their business, having done it alone for a while, and recognizing how hard it is to go on vacation or to even just have respectable work hours.
Right.
If you're trying to do everything yourself. And so we've been interviewing and trying to share tips on how you can get from that stage to a team, a business that's greater than you. And we're excited to hear your input and your advice and your stories.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I'll be glad to give it. I mean, that's a really admirable mission. And I think, it's important to have a mission beyond yourself. It's important to have a mission that is even beyond one business, where you are pulling together multiple businesses, groups, social betterment causes, all in alignment with accomplishing a greater goal. So I applaud you guys.
And I love how you said about building multiple businesses, because once a person comes in and creates a business, that one of the things I love the most about building a business is that you don't bless just yourself and your clients. You create opportunity for other people to have meaningful careers that are fulfilling. And as you do that and you create one business, why not go and see how many more lives you can impact for the good?
It's true. And, one of the things that I learned, one of the things that was true for me and is true for every single person I talk to and work with, is that their professional business, their career, is something they're good at. It's something that they have made a viable concern, but it isn't always their original dream or their true passion. And so part of what I tell people is that, look, my mission is to help make your reality a dream and your dream a reality. I'm going to work with you on your current business, help make it so that you've built a business where the day-to-day work and management are viably done by others, and you can step away. But also everything you've learned.
Wait, what? You can step away?
Yes, true. And everything, though that everything that you've learned is effective management tools, business administration skills and tools that you can bring to your dream, your ambition, your passion, and actually make that a viable concern as well. Right, that serves the marketplace. It serves you and the marketplace and their needs, so that you lead a business that you're good at, you're capable at, that serves many other people, employees, management, and all of the customers, clients, and families that the business serves. But also now you're realizing that aspiration that you've had, that dream that you've had, with professional application of business skills to make sure that it functions and succeeds. And you can put more and more time into that, and you less and less time into the thing that is simply a vehicle in many ways for people to make their living. And yes, the more able the more able you are to rise up and to continue to rise with other businesses, other concerns, your partner's business, your child's business, your friends. You can be a blessing to many businesses. With your competency as a leader in your own business and your passions too.
So, Crispin, tell us a little bit about your story. How did you get into this business, and where did what brought you to this point in your life?
Okay, so it's interesting. I was mainly interested in the arts, film, theater. I actually did like economics. Interestingly enough, I was quite surprised. I think in America you talk about auditing a class. I audited an economics class and really, really enjoyed it. But actually, I'd already had an interest in business because I felt at a young age that, of course, you would need business skills to accomplish that thing, that dream, that aspiration that you had in life. You would have to know business. And I even took typing at school because, I mean, I'm 48. So I'm back in the day when we actually had typewriters.
Oh, I did too. I remember like if you type too fast, all the little things would get caught. So yeah, I was there too.
Yeah.
I never had that problem.
Well, we had actually, the balls so they didn't have it. It didn't have that problem. It just would quickly spin so rapidly. But yeah, I'm familiar also with how that can occur on manual typewriters. They can get jammed up. But then, I took, and I did study computers. We had a computer at my school, but I left school at 16 because we have a different system. And I went to college at 16. I was one of the youngest
Because you're
in my year.
England.
Because you're in England. And I actually took business studies at college because I wanted to learn about business. And I was stunned being, very much into film and theater and the arts. And I was like, wow, business actually makes things more efficient. It makes it so you can accomplish so much more. And I was blown away. And the next year I went to business school, studied business and finance, kind of got my economics kick. And I actually loved how you take a balance sheet and you're looking for that mistake. Where is the decimal? Where's the mistake? And I found
I think we would have gotten along really well in college because I loved the same stuff, went through the same school.
Right. I had such a rush. I was like, oh my word. So I was completely turned around. And when I came to America, I knew I needed to get experience. And I worked at different companies. I voluntarily worked at a temp agency. So I got to work at all kinds of different businesses.
That's nice when you get your foot in the door and you get to see all the different options available to you.
Yeah. But it was more that I wanted to get a lot more experience at different positions, different companies. I worked a lot in the Hollywood industry, working in coming to America. And I worked at studios, agencies, TV production companies. I worked at marketing companies, just everywhere, right? Then I got an opportunity to work at a consulting firm. Literally, I was going, I probably should learn about consulting. And somebody that week, I mean, good, thank you, said, have you ever considered consulting? Oh, as a matter of fact, I have. And so I got the opportunity to work at that company. They hired me. I started at the consulting firm, and then that was in 2000. In 2006, I got my first client. I helped them with business organization, which is my focus, incidentally, helping them get organized and streamlined and optimized in business. They gave me $4,500. After 2 months working intensively, I followed up with them. After a month, they had gone from 120,000 that they were consistently getting to 300,000.
Oh my gosh.
Right. Simply from helping them get more organized. I say simply, it's not rocket science, guys.
Yeah.
But everything just flows smoothly. Everything works more easily. Everything's where it should be, and things just run more effectively. I spent some time learning sales because I wanted to learn to sell high ticket items. I sold Mini Coopers for a year and a half in Silicon Valley. And then I went on to a marketing firm with a CRM and marketing arm in the financial industry. So I learned marketing and financial again. It came back again. And then finally just was like, you know what? Now's the time. I'm going to build my company. I started delivering my services, training people, and just carried on. And here we are now.
So 2006, you had your first client.
2006 had my first paying client.
Okay.
I worked with a lot of people, but these were the first people I
been growing ever since then.
Yeah. I mean, like it was a journey, right? So when I finished delivering to that client, I didn't have my next client. So I was like,
that's the thing about being self-employed. As soon as you're done with a client, you're technically unemployed.
You're out of
until you find another.
Right. And I was like, well, don't you want to keep giving me money? Like, I don't understand. And they were like, this is great. We're done. So that was so. I also knew that I needed to learn more about sales and marketing, and get more experience and be much more prepared and understand more about how I can do that for clients, but how I can do it for myself. Ensure that there was a flow of business, right?
Nice. So filling up your pipeline.
Filling up my pipeline, exactly, and completing client services, but having upper level services for them. Completing services, but always getting new clients. Having somebody take over the regular clients, smaller entry level business, so I can focus on the high level business, so that the business continues to be viable, and I can continue to grow and expand.
So I was going to ask you that because I don't know the answer to this question, but do you have a team? Do you have employees, or are you a solopreneur?
So I am a solopreneur in one way of looking at it, right? My wife does amazing things with my computer, fixing IT. She teaches IT. I have a neighbor that will look after my daughter. Sometimes she's on a half day schedule. And I have a guy that does amazing work as a marketing pro in terms of website optimization. I have tons of vendors that I send my clients to directly related to my business. But also outside of that, right?
And those are all probably structured with as contract workers.
So yeah, like either either I'm paying them specifically for contract work, 1099, or they're a vendor and I'm just giving them business,
yeah,
right? Like I'm getting one of my guys that works a great deal with clients. I just give him straight business, but also on the other hand, we're doing an event and we split 50-50 the business we close, because I'm doing what I do, he does what he does. And we're splitting that service 50-50. And I also have affiliate fees, so there's a CRM and marketing system with AI components, and
so
I
as you help your clients get set
Yeah,
up
yeah,
with
so
those,
I-
then you
yeah.
get the affiliate.
Yeah, like the other day I set up a meeting, they closed, I get an affiliate fee, plus they get an onboarding, and I get a portion of that too.
I love it.
So now I do want to get a team in my office, but I am waiting to the last minute. I am minutes to midnight, quite honestly. I need to get that new
Not
person.
the 11th hour, but the 11.57.
Right. Like minutes to midnight means the nuclear war, right? It's about that. Like I'm almost there. So I probably, at least by the new year, I think I will get an assistant and then follow my own structure for building a team.
Love it.
Yeah, and talk to us about that. So let's see if we can get some good advice for those who are listening who are maybe in the same spot. Both Liz and I were there recently. We've been building our team and having a great time of it. That's why we wanted to share this and encourage other people to take that journey and get some help, really.
Sure.
Yeah, and especially like what advice would you have? So the majority of our listeners, which some of them might be consulting, so I'm super excited for the advice that you're sharing here as well.
Sure.
And traditional clients of yours, how do you guide them?
Well, so first things first, when you're building your own business, in many ways, you're building the airplane in the air as you're flying through the air, right?
That's actually how it feels.
It is definitely how it feels, right? And what's ironic is that it is far easier for me to go into a company that's already a going concern, that has their pattern of work dialed in, and they're just concerned now that they've hit a plateau that they can't get beyond. There's a certain operation threshold that they can't get beyond. I go, what you're doing right now is great, but it only serves you to this level. You need a new operating basis to get to the next level. And it actually means you've got to change what you're doing. So an important distinction to make in any business, whether it's a solopreneur or you have a team, is that what you need to do is resolve the bottlenecks that concern your business and how you operate as an individual or as a business. Now, I've isolated. At the last company I was at, I learned 3 core roles, and we would.
Yeah,
train
you were
people.
telling me about this. This is amazing.
We would train people in these 3 core roles, but also I know there's actually a 4th component, and whether or not my old boss admits it, he would admit it even if he heard this podcast, right? Is that he already knows that there's a 4th role, and also there were some details that I added with all my experience and what I've learned, and thankfully he led the way, so I was able to build on things that he taught me. But the 3 roles plus the 4th one, so there's 4 roles for a professional, 4 core roles for a professional. This is administrative assistance, service assistance, reception and routing, and lead development. So when you bring somebody on as an assistant, which is typically the first thing you do, they're handling fires, they are handling bottlenecks, they kind of handle what you need, and they're learning a lot about what it is you do and how you operate. So they're perfect for becoming a key aid in your organization, a leadership member, even an office manager, but more a key executive in your business as time goes on. But then what you're going to want to do is document and turn over the administrative support work. And when that person is spending the hour that you spent doing paperwork, they end up being able to do it in 45 minutes, half an hour, 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing that paperwork all day very often, that administrative work. So they can actually they end up becoming more advanced at handling the thing that you have to do, and you have to do it right. And they actually end up becoming much better and making good recommendations for how it can be more efficient. And it becomes a blessing. Same thing with the service. You deal with a client. I train my clients. I deliver to them. But when people call to get that service that they need and those service questions, if you have a pro that can handle those questions, again, you're saving all of that time. Then reception and routing, making sure that parcels, packages, phone calls go to the right person, that people are being handled, they're being turned away when they're unwanted calls, or they're confused downstairs instead of they're supposed to go upstairs. They get to handle all of that. And again, they prevent the organization from getting tied up in what was I doing before I was interrupted?
I know interruptions take so long to recover.
Say you're going to get 20 minutes to get back into a groove sometimes. And then the same thing as well, lead development. If there's somebody dedicated to following up with leads, developing leads, the person that can't close now wants to talk in 3 months, you call them in 3 months, and you're checking in with them and actually providing them with everything they need logistically to arrive sooner rather than later, then again, just business goes much smoother. Are you familiar with the Pareto law? Pareto rule?
80-20, yes.
Right. If we can isolate the 20% of work that you really need to be doing that gets the 80% of results in your business, and now you can do that 5 times 20, you could do that 20% 5 times a day. How much growth is that in your business?
It's tremendous.
Tremendous growth.
Do you find that for most people, so the role that you didn't spell out in that was lead generation?
Right, that was a little bit I spelled out at the end there. Well, if they're making those lead development calls and doing the follow-up, then they offload that. But I can tell you much more about that.
I just wonder if you find that that's the last spot to fill on a team. My team, I think we've done most of those roles, but I'm still generating leads, right? That's the 20 out of the 80-20 in my world.
Right.
And trying to fill that spot has been the most challenging for me. So I'd love your advice on, let's say we've got to that point, fulfillment's good,
right,
great reception, great lead development, and to really step away, the leads have to keep flowing without me. What would you recommend, or what do you see working?
So I want to tell you something right now. When I was at the marketing firm for full service financial advisors, so I sold salesmen basically, who ran into this problem all the time. This was their biggest burden, was how do I get somebody to do lead development? I made 40 to 140 calls a day for 5.5 years. Okay. We had multiple campaigns running every month, every quarter, every year, and all manner of ways to do lead generation. And I've thought about this a lot, right? And I've learned a great deal about it, and I've studied it a lot. So there are so many ways to handle this problem. Number one is this: you'll continue to run into people that need your services. The real dilemma is when you have that name and number of that person you met at Business Networking International, at a cocktail party, at the studio, you run into somebody in the hallway or reconnect with somebody and they realize that you can actually really help them. You need to be able to put the information that's important that that you can put on a form and turn it over to somebody who can do the follow-up, who can call them, make that connection, schedule the appointment for you to then have the interview. At the end of that interview, you also gather key information. They need this service, they need that, send them this thank you gift or whatever it might be. Someone else needs to handle all that, right? And that is your lead development department. Now, lead development in America really, truly brought efficiency and professional industrial level marketing to a fine-tuned engine, right? Madison Avenue was the juggernaut of America. And one of the terms they had in the old days in sales was canvassing. Literally, somebody that just calls up suspects, people they suspect of wanting their services, and asking precise questions that would prompt that person immediately to yes, let's say you're a financial advisor, you call a firm that has people in DuPont, right? And you say, and you get their LinkedIn names, right? You've got network, you've got the LinkedIn tool. And so you've got this executive, somebody calls them and says, you're an executive at DuPont. Says, you're an executive at DuPont. So you probably have a stock portfolio that you have, various different delineations of what they have available to them. But has someone given you a robust strategy for how you're going to maximize that? Not really, no. Boom, you have their interest. But that's canvassing, that's asking for the opinion of. That's then discussing thoroughly where they're at, what they need, what problems they're running into. So when you have a team doing those, so that's not somebody just handing off and then developing and scheduling a person for you and then following.
Generating new leads.
All right, this is an office dedicated to specifically calling targeted groups of people with exact questions that will prompt them to want your services, to yes, I want a meeting. Yes, I want a package. Please send it over, is someone available tomorrow? Right, that's what you also need. Now, here's another, I could talk about this all day. The last thing I would say is this one, right? I mean, we could talk all day about it, but is that also there's a difference, I believe, between people calling into your firm based on the PR and promo and advertising that you have out there that's essentially ready to find out if you're right for them. I mean, they're still cautious, right?
Yeah.
They don't know if you're legit or not, right? But if that person calls in, they should just have somebody ready to take that call. Mm-hmm. And then again, ask precise questions and give answers that lead that person down a precise channel to an appointment, to a meeting, right? But that's separate from somebody who's going to B&I, somebody who's going to events, someone who's going to conferences, someone who's meeting with their friends, and specifically building a network of potential clients for which they should get a hefty commission, right? They earn their commission when they bring that person in, and then that person comes in, it's probably going to be a big ticket item. So there's lots of areas, there's lots of ways of distinguishing and delineating how you handle the broad area of business development, looking for new clients, looking for targeted audiences that will respond in a specific way to your public relations, to your promotions, and to your advertising. So you need an entire division dedicated to doing that work, not just somebody to replace what you're doing, but to do what you're doing and more. And you still hand over some of the leads that you do get and some of the people that are going to benefit from your services. That's a kind of a robust.
The entire division part is the scary part, right?
Right.
It's not as easy as just hiring one assistant at a time. At some point, I feel like there's a leap from this. In my business, I think I've got most of what you described,
right?
And I've been trying for over a year now to form a division of salespeople who can generate leads. We have quite a few who go out and do their own networking and get paid well, but that in-house group that can generate some steady flow, they're obviously more profitable for us because we're supporting that. Right. It's been a real challenge. I feel like you have to be not just good at, I do mortgage, right? Not just good at mortgage, but all of a sudden you have to be really good at marketing and PR and systems and sales and scripts, and it's just a big hurdle for me.
Well, now we're coming into where I truly focus my attention and my energies, and also the area where I have discovered the gold. Where is the gold?
I want the gold. So tell me.
I get nothing but gold, right? I want to give you the gold, right? So now here's the deal. Literally, you need to document exactly what you do that works. Not what you think you might do that would work, but no. What you're currently doing that gets the results. If you focus in on documenting what you actually are doing to get results right now, the last several months, and making it sure that, I say document to delegate. Make sure that it's written as a specific thing that I'm sharing with you in what you're going to do. This is what I do that works, and this is how I do it. And you hand over that document. It may be 5
to
steps.
delegate.
Right, document to delegate. It must be written in 9th grade language so that it's easy for them to consume, understand, and apply. Different than you not trying to impress anybody. Please don't try to impress anybody. Just get them to understand that when you call somebody or when somebody calls in, remain polite. It's so important to remain polite. And just because somebody's had a bad day, that's on them. And I'm sorry, people have bad days, but don't make it worse. Just apologize and let them go. It's like, you just keep, you want to maintain a day where you can just do your work and be polite, remain polite, and politely hang up a call. I'll call you another time, or I'll just take you off my list. But that's something that you just need to write in one single document. This is the culture, a culture of good manners. But also, you need to make sure this is now we're getting up to the gold. When you're training somebody in all of those practices and procedures and the culture that you've created that works and that's effective and works, when you're training somebody, they'll ask you the silliest question, the most basic question. You go like, oh my word, you don't know that. Don't be rude. Take a deep breath. Remember, be polite to your staff too. Write that down. Tell them the answer, but note down what you're telling them. Because actually, all of those items that you're like, that's obvious. No. That's your unconscious competence. Dean Graciosi talks about unconscious competence.
Oh my gosh, that's a process I love. We talk about that at our work a lot.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Perfect. Because but you need to document it and make it a part of a pack so that you have, as you go along training somebody, you get a complete pack for the next person to come in. They train on it, they study on it in the quiet of a room. Maybe Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays they're training. Tuesdays and Thursdays and Saturdays they're working. But however you structure it, they're able to train and apply. But now they get all of the unconscious competence. And when they have a question, they go to their pack, not to you, right?
That is awesome. Do you mind if we kind of talk on unconscious competence? Because I bet some people don't know it here. And correct me too if I know it differently than you. No. So it's kind of like a 4-step process where you start with unconscious incompetence. You don't know what you don't know. And then conscious incompetence, where you're like, oh my gosh, I realize I don't know this. And then it's conscious.
You know that you don't know.
Right.
You know that you don't know. But you don't know what to do about that.
Yeah. And then the 3rd step is conscious competence, where you can do it, but you have to really pay attention. And then unconscious competence. So like the best way is like tying a shoe. Like little kids, they don't know how to tie a shoe. And then they see their older siblings doing it or their friend doing it. They're like, wait, I don't know how to do that. And then they learn it and they can do it, but they have to really pay attention. And now we tie our shoes and literally we don't even think about it. It's just done, out the door.
Right. So I'm going to divide it down into 2 things.
Okay.
Right. So what I've learned, and this is one of my introductory courses actually, services, and what I teach in this course is I say, and I learned this from my wife. She was studying as a teacher, and she shared this with me. And I'm like, I was building this course, and I'm like, it's going right in this course.
It fits perfectly.
Right. So what she taught me was that cognitive thinking is required when you're learning something new. I don't care how old you are or how young you are. When you're learning something new, you're like, so I stand up and turn right. I lift up the door to go up rather than down. I push this door. Like when you're learning something new, you're really struggling to think about it. And I have a drill, which we'll go into at another time in the next podcast, if we ever have one, right? Perhaps. But basically, you have an unconscious you have a cognitive effort that's required until it becomes a pattern, a habit, and then it's unconscious competence, right? And you know what to do and you know how to handle it. This is one of the biggest things that I remind clients of all the time. Don't feel bad that you have to think this through. and
Yeah,
that
that's
you're
the
struggling.
prerequisite.
Right, and that you're
Yeah.
struggling to get it. And don't apologize. You don't need to apologize to me.
Mm-hmm.
I know that it requires. That's why you got a coaching package.
Yeah.
That's why I continue to come back. Somebody will ask me, "Oh, how do I solve this?" And they'll be in a panic, and I go, "Well, remember in our first session we covered this," and they, "Oh, right." But now it fits in its place. Now they go back to that material, study it, think about it, cognitive thinking, application, learn it, and now it becomes more important to them to make a habit, right? So now, so I divided it into those two things: cognitive thinking to learn it, or it's now that you've got a pattern, right? A thought pattern. That's what you want, thought patterns. Now, the reason why I was saying earlier, when you're documenting what you do that works, when you're turning over a job, that you want to be able to successfully delegate. You don't just want to delegate the work. Here, do the work. Doesn't work. You go.
Oh, but so many of us have tried it that way.
Many times.
Right.
Yeah.
But you actually need to take full responsibility for being a true leader. There's a general. I can't think of his name right now, but I'll probably have to send it to you so you can put it in the notes.
Okay.
But what he said, he was a general in America, World War I, World War II. He said, leadership, you must lead, you must train, you must supervise. That's the responsibility of a leader. So you must actually set a good example and show what people should do. You must train them in what you want them and require them to do and what they're required to do.
Don't expect them to mind read.
Don't just expect them to mind read, right? You go to great lengths to explain your latte with caramel or your steak medium well with, what is it, drizzle, a little drizzle and the side of the, you go to great lengths to explain certain things. And it's true of work also and the responsibilities that people are expected to fulfill when you're at a place of work. But then you must supervise their application. You must let them cognitively think through. Don't just jump in and do it. They gotta repeat to you. Well, I remember when you said to do it, but it includes this, right? Is that right? Yes, that is right.
How many people in this world have been hired and fired because the employer didn't do any of that?
Right.
And the poor new hire just had no chance from the start, right? Figure it out. You let me know how it's supposed to run. You document this. It's all backwards. And I think we let a lot of people down by not following a process.
It's absolutely true. And I'm going to tell you right now, the entire pathway to where I'm sitting right now consisted of this idea that I had. And I train people in this. I call it, it's a tool now. I call it, well, there's several tools now actually, but basically I call it an info sheet, right? When I got a job, especially when I was temping, I had to walk in. I walked in, and again, I don't want to drop names, but I walked into places where I was like, wow. And I was like keeping my cool, and I'm having to do this job, right?
Well,
and do
good
it
or
right
well
now.
bad.
Like, wow, amazing. Like, I'm with this person. This person's getting calls from people that you would know that are globally known figures. Calls coming in that I'm transitioning to this person. But again, I don't want to drop names or I'll tell you when we're at dinner sometime, perhaps, or lunch, or when we get together another time. But anyway, here's the thing. What I would do is when somebody would tell me the job, you're expected to do this. This is this person's name, and you deal with this office. I'll go 1 second. I would write down the name. I would write down the other person's name. I would write the name of their department, and I would ask what's their extension number, and I would write their extension number down. And they would say, well, you're going to go to here to get these faxes, because I worked in the days of faxes. And then they go over here, and I go, okay, 1 second. So one of my responsibilities, take the faxes to, Okay, good. I would write it down. And also, I would make sure to check. I would go, so I dial 9 to dial out? No. You dial 6 to get out of the studio, 9 to get a line, and then you dial the area code, then you dial them. Okay, but when you're doing an internal conference call, these are the digits. And I would practice internal conference call. Okay, this works. This is great. An outside call, I'd call someone's phone, outside phone, a friend even. I checked that it worked. But write down the exact steps to transfer to a cell phone, to transfer to an office, whatever was required of me. And I remember it was at Fox Studios one time, and the guy said to me at the end of the day, you didn't come to me with questions one time. I said, yeah. Was there a problem? And he's like, oh, no, it just never happened before. And this has been the core backbone, documenting what works, documenting what's already established that works. I need to get a client to please just write down what they know are the best practices and get results first. Strengthen that, streamline that, optimize that. Then we can test your theories, how it should be, could be, might be. We will try those out. But once we've got the infrastructure, once we've turned over some of the workload, and now you're freed up to innovate, you're freed up to try things and test things, then we'll do that. And we find gold. We find wonderful things, but we do it in order, in a sequence, in a mechanical way. Because I'll say this, I believe wealth and success are mechanical. If you do the work, you get results, but you need to know what to do. Like W. Edwards Deming says, it's not enough to do your best. You must know what to do, then do your best.
Oh, I love that.
So what do you say to the clients who are like me? I'm thinking that sounds great, but I'm flying a plane. I don't have time to, how do I find time to document? And this is work, right? That doesn't, it's always one of those, to use a Stephen R. Covey phrase, it's quadrant 2, right? It's
right.
It's important but not urgent, and I'm too busy,
doing what's urgent, right?
Yeah.
So here, this is what I do. I expect of you orderly progress. We address these things in an orderly way. I've put in 30 years of thought. Right? At 16, I'm now 48, so that's 32 years. I have a process. I have a method. I have a way. Don't you worry about it. There's a whole process. But really what it is that the secret is I give you core principles that when you hear, you go, that's true. That makes sense. Like, I'll give you one of them that is an early principle I share with people. There's a chap, Myron Golden. He was on a podcast with Russell Brunson. This podcast is when I decided to leave my company that I was working at as a VP, right? And set up my own company because of this podcast for various reasons. In this podcast, he said there are 4 levels of value. There's the implementation, right? The work that gets done. Unification or management, unifying the team, aligning everything, aligning the work getting done. There's communication, not just messages and emails and texts, but being able to move people's hearts and minds, powerful messages that move people's hearts and minds. And then there's imagination. Those are your people who imagine new things, who innovate, who establish a new paradigm in the industry. You can only do that when you're free to innovate. So the first thing we got to get you to do is get organized, and it frees up your attention. It's magic. But as soon as I organize your business according to 7 major sections, you suddenly feel relief. And then I say, let's document the work that you do, right? So just the process of money income, which is the production, the 5 steps, the 6 steps that you take, and you go, well, it's this, and this. Great, we're done. Those are the 6 steps. And then when you have a moment, you start to work on step 1. And what do I need to brief somebody in order to understand all 6 steps if they don't know? What concepts do they have to understand? We start to document. So we focus on the production, on the work. Then we focus on the marketing, how we're going to get more people in to go through that simple process. But ultimately, what is the work that's being done? Then how do we manage the workers? What are the powerful messages that communicate to people's hearts and minds your uniqueness? And then we turn those over: administrative, service, lead, reception and routing, lead development. And then we look at, now with this time that we've created, what innovations do you have? Let's try these things out. What can you do more to serve your dream and serve your market's dream? So there is a way, and I can tell you, you get the relief as soon as things start to get organized. You get the relief, you start to get space, you start to think about the simple process in terms of products and services, and then how you market, and just bit by bit, we ease off the time that you're consumed within your mind, and also the work that's been consuming you. We turn it over, but only bit by bit, and only a lesson at a time, and only administrative work that gets results, right? Management that gets results, and the powerful messages that get results, and the innovations that get results.
That's fantastic. I can tell you have put 30 years of thought into this.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you.
Well, good.
Perfect. Well,
Well,
we have a round of questions.
We're running out of time. We want to get to our rapid fire round
Please
questions.
do.
Are you
please
ready
do.
for
I'm
these?
ready. I'm ready.
So the way this works, I've got them here. We're going to go through, you got 1 minute. We're going to try to answer all the questions in 1 minute. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
What is your favorite podcast?
Russell Brunson's Marketing Secrets.
Marketing Secrets. Okay. I've never tried it. What is your favorite business book?
Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson.
Oh boy.
Okay.
I got to look him up. All right. How many hours a day do you work
It depends.
on average?
Some too much right now myself, but again, I'm putting a plan together. But sometimes I work 6 hours. Sometimes I work 16 hours.
Mm-hmm. What's your goal? How many hours a day do you want to work?
My wife wants me to work half an hour to an hour a day. I think I could probably get away with 2 because I still want to do events and I still want to do trainings. I'll probably end up about 3 or 4 a day.
So you're building towards that.
Yeah.
Who do you really look up to in the business world as a role model and why?
So there's several. One of the people I truly admire is a guy named Simon Sinek.
Oh my gosh. Start with
Love
why.
Simon.
Start with why. Because again, he was on my journey to where I am now. And I literally have built part of my message around, why you do what you do, how you do it, and then what you do. So he, and also like my boss, I was surprised. But we got a minute. But like my boss, I was surprised with how truly good you can be in the corporate world.
Love it.
What is the one best piece of advice that you can share with our audience?
In all things, success depends upon previous preparation. And without such preparation, there is sure to be failure. Confucius.
Very good. Great.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Crispin. How can our listeners get a hold of you? How can they find you if they'd like to find out more about you or hire you?
Sure. So you can find me at www.proactivebusinessmanagement.com, at Crispin Sanford on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, and Crispin at proactivebusinessmanagement.com. And I'm sure I'll give you all my information so you can tie it in the notes.
That'll be great.
I love it. Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
You're
It was
very welcome.
amazing.
My pleasure.